long term, this is definitely the biggest thing that is happening for Tesla right now, and I can't wait to really dig into the details.
Florian Menderup, he owns this 3,000, 5,000 Teslas as a leasing company that's headed towards robotaxi kind of fleet management in Europe. He said, is FSD version 13 wide release the ChatGPT moment for Tesla? The videos of everybody using FSD 13, once this goes wide, will go viral next few weeks. Everybody who buys a Tesla coming in the months will also get a 3-month free FSD subscription. Chuck Cook, who's one of the best people who test AI out there, he says of his feeling after playing around with 13.2, I don't see any safety issues that would keep 13.2 from going wide. It's better than 12.5.6.3. Send it. So he shared this. The highlight clip number 2, FedEx run with highway and parking. I doubted the system, but I got my perfect ending to this trip. Check it out and enjoy. So this is what he saw today.
So how is it? I'm going to predict what this is going to do. It's going to go up right next to that POI, and it's just going to kind of pull over and stop. There's a possibility that it's going to get stuck with the flow of traffic and end up doing a loop around to the left. If you look at the actual map in here, it's a one-way situation around this FedEx. So I've either got to take a left right after I get to FedEx and come back around. And if that's the case, we'll let the car do that. But I have a feeling that's how it's going to play out. The dream scenario would be it sees a parallel parking spot close to that and it pulls in. Even if it does parallel parking, I guess I'm going to have to decide if I'm going to let the car do that in this kind of traffic. Meaning like it can parallel park, but the speed that it parallel parks is rather slow in my mind. All right, so after this light, I need to get over, and there's plenty of parallel parking to the left and the right. I'm gonna let this play out just because I know I can come around the block and, oh my gosh, it did it. Now, granted, it didn't have to parallel park, but it saw parking and it pulled over, and nice job, Tesla, you actually did it. So that's part 1 of this video. I'm going to go ahead and stop the cameras and come back, and we'll do a part 2 here in a second. But you pulled over and you parked. Other than that critical disengagement in the sun, it was a perfect drive.
Oh, yeah. It's amazing how it knew already with the parking spot way ahead of time. And I think that's because he'd already done a roundabout, right?
Yeah, I mean,
you're right.
This is great to see so much improvements, not only this example, but in a lot of other videos, and we'll be watching more of 13's expansion of scope into the beginning and the end of a drive, being able to, do those parking maneuvers to start from a stop, whether it's inside your garage or in a parking lot. Like we now have end-to-end drive, not just like the system is end-to-end, but the drive itself is now end-to-end. And there's going to be some issues, like we didn't get to see it actually do the parallel park in this instance. Maybe we'll get some of those in the future. But I'm sure that when we see those things, there will be performance issues. That sometimes it's not going to do it exactly the way you want to. There's probably still going to be some disengagements around starting and stopping that end up being required. But the fact that we now have those within the scope of what it can do means that we can better gather the data that we need to improve that performance. And this is just a massive upgrade overall, not only because we're now growing what the FSD supervised system can and will do for you on your drive, but also because of the architecture of the way that they did that. And we'll get into that more as well.
Yeah, I want you to explain, and we'll do that later, exactly what changed in this software, but also how it did it with all the kind of what did they actually rebuild. I'm going to show you 2 videos. The first one here is not version 13 at all, but it showed that the car can actually do an evasive maneuver. We don't know yet if this is the case. The second one is on version 13.2, and it showed that if you drop something, it can actually go around that unidentified object. So this first one here, this is from China. Ray for Tesla reports all these things from China for us. Owner claims Tesla collision avoidance feature did this. What do you think? Looks hard to believe, but in the meantime, human drivers can hardly maneuver like this in a split second. So let's take a look at this. Whoa. replay that. So you can see that this thing pops out and then it just automatically moves and in. Hard to say.
Magnitude, like, I think a lot of people would have swerved, but would they have swerved that much? And then to be able to make the second correction, like to swerve so far to the right and then so far back to the left. I mean, I think if it was me, I would have just gone over and stopped on the right hand side. And so the fact that it didn't do that actually does make me like, that's a little bit of a non-human response there, not to just, completely go over to the right side of the road and stop and then move on. That potentially he's right. Potentially that is an entirely FSD operated maneuver. And it's impressive either way.
Ashok Alaswamy did say that these cars can do this. That's part of the whole thing, like disengagements, but you don't know which actually prevented anything from happening in the first place. So anyways, here's FSD version 13. Dirty Tesla also test drives the feature, drives around an unidentified object on a dirty road. Yeah, so it saw it and then it went around it. You can see that it did that. Pretty awesome. Okay, so we've got AI Driver here. He does a fantastic job dropping these videos. When I tell you FSD 13 is smooth, yeah, so it's a very narrow road, incoming cars, parked cars, and it just does a great job of driving, around all of them.
Yeah, and like the acceleration, very consistent speed. Seems like it's got good awareness and good caution. Not like starting and stopping and trying to figure out what it's doing. Like that's a lot of times one of the things that it feels like to me as the driver of FSD is that it'll encounter something and like it needs time to think. And it doesn't seem like there's thinking time that's needed. The response is good, which indicates an improvement in the ability of the system to make long range planning at a higher level. And that is a huge deal, because that medium to long range planning is where a lot of the issues in FSD performance live. And so if it can do that better, like this smoothness is implying that they're solving one of the biggest challenges that Tesla FSD has to solve.
So far, this version 13.2 has been incredibly well received by almost everyone who's testing it, and they're just dropping videos like left, right, and center. 13.3 will be the one that's going to go wide. We don't know yet when they're going to do that, but everybody seems to be saying that it's looking really good. Here's AI Driver. He's responded to this person who said, on a scale of 1 to 10, how big has the improvements been? AI Driver himself says, needs more seat time. I need to test it out some more. I think Elon's 500%, 6 times improvement is likely correct, though. I turn now. Good luck, everyone else. So older versions of FSD struggled in this situation due to lack of context. Version 13 seems to understand that humans are stupid. Okay, so that guy in front decides, I'm going to just go ahead and do a U-turn. Stops right in front of him. But, the car understood the context. What'd you think of that one?
Yeah, it's another example of, human-like, not just acceptable response, but human-like response to a situation. And of course, humans understand that other humans are stupid because we're also humans and we've done stupid. So, I think that is a good thing to see here, is just how human-like the behaviors, and this is kind of across a lot of these clips, how human-like the behavior of the system is getting.
Yeah, I was going to say that you can actually, like, he's like when he came across and he saw the car parked like that, right? It's like, okay, is it going into a driveway? And then should I slow down? But the car already starts slowing down. This car starts slowing down, even though, you could have gone around it in the back. Okay. Remember that people were saying that Tesla will need to have teleoperators ready. That's what Cruise and Waymo do, because even Elon himself said, remember, he was being interviewed on, he was on a shareholder day or something like that, and the audience member asked him, will you need teleoperators? He said, sure, I guess so. I mean, if you find yourself stuck in a one-way street and you need to reverse all the way back out or something, that maybe you'll need a teleoperator, right? But if it can do something like this, it just reduces the number of teleoperators you need. And that's how you get something to be low cost, you know, not the one-to-one that Waymo might have, 1 to 5, whatever it might be. They don't share that info. This is so I'm telling you right now, so far, it's only been 4 days. All these early beta testers are testing it. We've not seen that many negative outcomes so far. It seems to be like, oh, watch this. It can do this now. It can do this now. So here's another one. Yeah.
One of the things that I wanted to add in here is listening. So Chris Camillo,
Chris
from
Camillo?
Dumb Money TV, he's strongly looking at having to enter into an FSD V13 related trade, which he was not expecting to do. He's been waiting to make this Optimus trade, and it's because V13 dropped much sooner than he was expecting in the performance and the response that he follows. He's watched every single one of these videos that we're watching today, plus a whole bunch more, plus read everything that everyone has to say on the subject. And he is thinking, man, there's a real possibility that the outperformance of V13, both in timing and in quality, is going to drive a meaningful move in the stock price of Tesla. And he's willing to make a very highly concentrated, leveraged, time-bound bet that's crazy. I'm not doing that. I definitely don't recommend that anyone else does that. But just because this is so good so fast, and he's like, I really appreciate listening to Chris, because the way that he thinks about investments and the way that he thinks about public understanding, like community consensus around an investment thesis, is super interesting. So just like on top of all of the first person reports and videos that we've seen that are interacting with version 13, his second order analysis of what he's seeing is also extremely strong, to a level that I've never seen. Like, I've never heard of Chris even remotely considering an FSD related trade of any kind before.
And he's
so
not
for
the
him
only
to do
one.
that is crazy.
Lots of institutional investors have upgraded yesterday. And then my favorite one was your perennial bear. He just flipped. And then he's now a bull from $85. That was his price target. Always the bear, Craig Irwin. And now he's flipped to become a bull. So because of FSD, this is scaring a lot of people. Let's watch a few more videos. You've got here AI Driver, another one. The more you watch this clip, the more impressive it is. FSD 13 is insane. Let's watch what he says here. So the car needs to turn right, but it's obviously a very busy, but it needs to get to the left lane. So right now it's turned to the right. That's great. Now it's going to get into that lane. Oh, but so there was another car, but it let that car move and then went right behind him really quickly. It needed to get in between them, and now to the left lane.
Yeah, I agree. This is very, very impressive. Like, it's knowledge of where the gaps are and when, because I think it's even waiting to make the first move until
you see the planet
until it can, because it knows it's like, this car's here and I'm about to, as soon as it goes past, I'm going to cut over. Like, I think it was waiting for that big spot the entire time. And once again, this goes to its ability to do that long range planning. I think it knew that it wanted to go across into that outer lane after that last car went by well in advance, and it planned its entire movements so that it could make that move at that specific time.
Right after it moves in, there might have been another car coming behind him.
Yeah.
Just like a human would. Yep. My God, this is fun. So this is AJ, one of the people that we follow. Great analysis, great financial reports. He said, Tesla version 13.2 FSD cannot be understated. This is by far the most significant step forward and was expected by extrapolating from both. You have done quite a number of shows explaining this. Not only do we have 3 times more compute now, you have exponentially growing miles driven in FSD. Those are the two. So regarding the miles, FSD miles driven grow much, much faster than the FSD fleet since existing FSD users started using FSD significantly more. And guess what? With 13.2 being so good, so much more fun, people are going to use this more. This last point is not fully appreciated with regard to how it affects FSD progress. Number two, the first one, compared to the beginning of 2024, Tesla currently has more than 3 times the training compute. This was the most important slide in Tesla's third quarter shareholder deck. He has a $600 price target. He thinks that counted for all of this. Hence, the price target upgrades we saw were anticipated. So this is just something you've been going through. The speed by which Tesla's been adding H100 equivalent GPUs is just skyrocketed like this.
Yes, and the speed with which we are able to develop the system, like, to me, it looks like version 13 is going to be as large of a jump as from 11 to 11 to 12 was a huge jump. And then I think from 12 to 13 is going to be that big again. And our ability to make that leap is really just dependent on these GPUs. I think I might disagree with AJ on his first point about, I don't know that the number of miles that Tesla drivers are using FSD on is all that significant. It may be, it may not be. I think what's more significant is the training compute that they have allocated of the actual AI4 computers that are in a rack and they're doing simulation testing. Honestly, I think that's more important for us than the human feedback. The human feedback is important, but I think honestly that we disengage more times than really provides a lot of signal to the training because we don't know when those critical disengagements. We're more cautious. And I think that that's a factor in all of this that's maybe underappreciated. It's definitely significant. I just don't think it's maybe as significant as AJ thinks.